Welcome back. I'm Matt McKee and joined by Bobby Brown again. He joined us a couple months ago, and we wanted to do another episode. It's been a month or so since I've done one of these and wanted to get back into it. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Matt. Love the topic that we're going to talk about today. So really excited to jump in. I think it's top of mind for a lot of at least clients that we deal with and friends and family that we've run across. Happy to dive into it with you.
Yeah, so what we're going to talk about today is two tweets that both of us saw recently, but the first one was around Odell Beckham Jr., the former football player. I believe he's retired at this point. Should have looked that up, but I think he's done. But he effectively said that 100 million was very difficult to create generational wealth. And this tweet from athletes and assets that I'm looking at over here kind of breaks down. He had one really large contract that was around 100 million after taxes. That was probably around 60 million. Agent fees and manager fees, call it 57. League dues another million. So that left him call it 56 million over 5 years, or around monthly after taxes. And so I wrote about it in a recent newsletter that'll go out here in the next couple days. My observation were really two things in general were definitely working against him, and that was his expectations, the lifestyle creep, funding probably a lot of family expenses, cars, houses, staff, vacation, you name it, as well as probably spending a significant amount of time with people much wealthier than him that constantly make him feel like that 100 million isn't that much. And another thing comes to mind that was probably more than enough when he was earning that much, but that's over a 5 year period. While most of us, even business owners or high earners, you make that money over 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 year career, not
Right.
5 years. What comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I think in these situations, and even Chris Paul, ex NBA player, current maybe still, is they become the guy. In their circle of friends, they become the guy that made the wealth, and they want to take care of everybody because that's what they want to do. They've got people that have been with them for however many years, and like I said, it's vacations, it's travel, it's cars and homes, and everybody thinks that $100 million is a lot of money.
Yeah.
Happens in a short amount of time. And to like Odell Beckham's point in his tweet, the average career is 3 to 3.5 years. So your contract is for what it is. Some of it's guaranteed, some of it's not. And then it comes to an end. And you've got a lot of years. I mean, these guys they're 20 going into the NFL, and they're done by 25, 26, 27 years old. You got a lot of years left for that money to work for you. And a lot of it's budgeting and spending and having the right team around you front to make sure that you get taken care of. And Chris Paul said his first check was $215,000, and he took his friends to the mall and they spent it, pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
it happens.
I feel like the exact opposite end of the spectrum that you see every year or two, but it's like the offensive lineman or slot receiver that you maybe heard of one time that made like 1/10 of this over a 10-year period, got out of the league before they're 30, made call it 8 to 10 million, and effectively lived like like they were making nothing, invested and saved all of it, and now have some random business or doing some lifestyle that they wanted. They're like a farmer or something totally random that you see at the exact opposite end of the spectrum. Uh,
Right.
yeah. So those are cool to see as well, but it's very different consumption, very different savings as a percentage, all of that.
Right. Yeah. And it just takes time. I mean, those guys, you just, again, have to have a right team around you and make sure that you're taken care of. But, there's ways to go about it. And the number, like to Odell Beckham's point, 100 million, like that number was in his head because that's contracts that he signed or things that he saw on paper. But when you net things out, I mean, that's what you have to live off of, and that's what's going to sustain you. And it's being smart with the money. It's telling people no. I mean, a lot of the times it's the hard part is just telling people no, can't do it.
Yeah.
So
Any tips for, well, At least myself, I don't work with any professional athletes like him, but do work with business owners, high income earners that might make a couple $1 million in any given one year. And you obviously have seen clients that are living well below their means, and most of that money's very thoughtfully allocated. And then you see the opposite end of the spectrum where it may come pretty fast, but it goes out the door just as fast.
Right. Yeah, and sometimes, I mean, those clients you really have to sit down and go through pretty basic budgets. I mean, those people they have a big nest egg, but they're just blowing through it. I mean, it's going fast, and you can have the people that you sit down with, you talk about up front, you find ways to move money from one pocket to the other to kind of shelter it and shield it from them being their own worst enemy, putting things in place where they can guarantee an income. I mean, there's tools and resources out there to do something like that. Guarantee yourself a baseline income, and then you just have to be smart with the money. And again, just having your team around you, tax strategists, estate planners, your financial advisors that can really guide you. Business owners do the same thing, kind of like Odell Beckham was talking about. They get their multiples, they think about a number in their head, and they can't get past it. And then whenever you net everything out, it's about half. There's a lot of costs and expenses that go into owning a business and
Yeah,
selling a business.
and there's a lot of expenses in selling a business. I mean, most people, once you're selling a business for more than a few million, you have some sort of advisor, likely a CPA involved, a attorney,
Hmm.
some sort of business broker or investment banker. Those all charge material fees, but they help protect you, they help shelter it, all of that. So they're definitely necessary in those processes.
Yeah, they're definitely worth the value. Selecting the right team to put around you and going through that process up front. A lot of times you have clients that sell in a business and they want to bring people in at the very tail end, and it's a little harder to do some work for them there. But having a team around you and paying people what they're worth and helping you get a higher number or higher multiple, cleaning up balance sheets, whatever it is, that's very beneficial to a business owner looking to sell.
Yeah. On a similar note, to hit on the second tweet, very obviously very different individual, not a professional athlete. This was a real estate investor, Sean Sweeney. He put out a tweet a couple days ago that I saw that I felt like came at it from a very different perspective. But he's a multifamily investor, developer, um, and so he's obviously real estate has had a challenging couple years, and this was effectively him acknowledging that he changed his perspective. We'll hit mostly on that it's been a challenging couple years as a business owner with no deals, no income, and all of that just kind of jumped out as like significant financial planning, cash flow planning,
Hmm.
budgeting, all the basics that I think you and I forget about sometimes, but it really is the foundation, even at somebody making millions to hundreds of millions like an Odell, like at least having somebody doing that to ensure like even if you are making 933,000 a month, that money can go out the door very quickly.
Yeah, yeah, and things dry up. I mean, businesses have cycles. The economy has cycles, and things are not always great for a very long time. There's going to be little pockets. We talk about like mortgages, we talk about homes, we talk about construction, anything that might have a little lag. If you don't have kind of a cash cushion or emergency savings built up as your kind of foundation, and everything's tied up in deals, it's going to take some time to get those profits maybe, or get a sell or liquidation. So you got to be smart with it. And that's where having a team that comes in and kind of builds from the foundation up can really help somebody like that. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be times where things aren't as great as they were. We
Yeah,
saw a huge
exactly.
rush coming out of COVID, and then it kind of slows down. Rates went up, things slow down, deals
Yeah.
right up.
And if he's able to weather the storm, I'm sure he'll be well positioned to take advantage of the next cycle.
Right.
And that same can be applied for high income. I mean, even high income sales where it's almost all commission based. I've seen people that do their basic budgeting and cash flow planning very well, and others that if going from call it 1.5 million to 500,000 in income is extremely painful, and then they end up dipping into retirement assets and different things like that that set them back more than they even realize.
Yeah, lifestyles at that grain of a scale is hard to dial back.
Yeah.
Making 1.5 million, your mortgage is taking up a good chunk of it. You've got some nice cars. You're taking family vacations. Maybe the spouse isn't working. And when times get tough and that's cut into half or less, what do you scale back on? And some things you can't. And so having that cash bucket and those reserves, so you don't have to dip in and really, really hurt yourself in the long run. Like I said, some people like to get into the 401k and take loans or pull it out just all together. I mean, that's a huge retirement tool for you that's got some tax deferred leverage that needs to be in place and kind of the last resort. But people get into it. I mean, that's just the way it is. So again, like I said, budgeting, cash flow management, safety net, having all those in place, that's very beneficial.
Absolutely. Well, it was good to do this again, and we will have to do another one after the holidays. Appreciate it.
We'll run it back, man. Merry Christmas to you.
You too.